All right, good Tuesday afternoon, everybody. I've got a special guest with us, one of the gentlemen that is going to be participating in the Sacred Hoops Coaches Clinic, Don Showalter. Thanks for being with us this morning, sir.
Hey, my pleasure. I'm honored to be on a part of it.
Coach, I just asked you your title, like to recite your title, and it's quite a mouthful. Can you tell folks exactly what you're doing and what your title is?
Yeah, absolutely. Work full-time with USA Basketball now after coaching 42 years of high school basketball. And I've coached the junior national teams for 10 years with USA Basketball and fortunate to get 10 gold medals with those teams. Now my title is Director of Coach Development. And I also oversee the junior national team players and coaches as well.
Coach, you're going to be visiting with a lot of folks from South Dakota, and you have such a strong connection to Iowa. You coached there, you were born there, raised there on a farm, and coached there for so long. How do you hope to kind of connect with South Dakota folks when you're in a meeting with us at Sacred Hoops in November?
Yeah, well, obviously, it's not going to be that difficult to connect with people from South Dakota from the standpoint of having a lot of things in the same as we have in Iowa as far as, culture-wise and rural, and depending on people to really help each other out. I think that's kind of the Midwest. Really, what guides the Midwest is the fact that we're all really great people, and that we help each other out, and that we're concerned about each other and in times of such as this pandemic, but also just as the basketball goes. I know South Dakota has some really good basketball in the state as well, so I'm very familiar with that.
Coach, I'm going to ask you, this might take a minute to spit out, but you coach some world championship teams in the youth area for the United States. And of course, also, it's going to take a minute to spit out. What are some of the similarities between high school basketball and elite level basketball like that in terms of coaching and getting to know your kids and stuff?
That's a great question. I get asked that a lot. Really, first of all, kids are kids. Players love to play basketball, no matter if they're elite players or if they're just average players. I think kids that love basketball want to play it and want to get better. So we find out that even at the elite level, they certainly have goals in mind, and they know that they're probably going to be high level Division I players, and eventually want to get to the NBA. So their task of getting better is probably a little bit different than a task when I coached high school basketball, where a lot of them, they were out for the enjoyment, but also their goals were, to be the best they can be and maybe play at the next level some. So there's really, obviously the skill level is much different overall. So I think that adds a lot to it.
Coach, can you drop a name or two? I was scrolling through some videos, and I think I heard the name Jason Tatum in there. Who are some people that you've been fortunate enough to work with?
Well, I think I've had the opportunity to work with about 50 players that are now in the NBA, or have been in the NBA. But our first team back in 2009, that first team we had was Brad Beal, who's an all-star for the Washington Wizards. Andre Drummond was on that team. Michael Gilchrist. So that was really a good team as well. But Jason Tatum is one of the ones that really has blossomed since he's been with us. Obviously, Wendell Carter Jr. had a great rookie year with the Chicago Bulls. Colin Sexton, who's playing with the Cleveland Cavs, was a great player for us. Tyus Jones, who's with Memphis right now, has had a great career so far. Young guys like Jalen Green, who's with the NBA G League team, young G League team. Quinn Cook, who's on that first 09-10 team. He just won his second ring with the Lakers. His first ring was with the first two rings actually with the Warriors. So those are some of the people that have played for us, and Still keep in contact with many of them. And it's just a great situation when you have players like that, obviously.
Coach, one of the things I always find amazing about basketball in South Dakota, and I kind of imagine this goes across the board, are the relationships that are developed, between people and families and communities and some of these players. Can you tell me about some relationships in your life that you stay in contact with, or maybe even a mentor that helped guide you along the way?
Yeah, I think you mentioned relationships, and I think when you talk about coaching, the reason that a lot of us stay in coaching, or a lot of us get into coaching, is because we want to develop relationships with players and coaches, and I think that's one of the main reasons that you stay into coaching, is because of the relationships that you do get to develop. But as a young coach, for me, I worked a lot of camps, and that's really was my path, how to get involved with USA Basketball. I had the opportunity to work John Wooden's camps in California for over 20 years, which was an unbelievable experience. Yeah. And, it's funny because I tell young coaches, I says, you really kind of need to step out and take and be in an uncomfortable position and take advantage of things. And as a young coach right out of college, I just wrote a letter to Coach John Wooden and said, hey, I'd like to work your camp. And I was a counselor the first couple of years, and then I worked into the coaching role. So he had obviously a lot of real effect on me as a coach.
Coach, I wanted to ask you maybe real quickly, can you give folks kind of a preview? I mean, when you check in on the Sacred Hoops Coaches Clinic,
Yeah.
What do you envision talking about?
Well, I think there's we have what we call our gold standards, which for us is really important with USA Basketball. And we don't talk about rules as much as standards. What standards are we held accountable to, and what standards are our players held accountable to? So I think that's one of the big things I'm going to talk about. I think also, what I look for in players, how when I go out on the circuit and evaluate players, what do I look for in players, and how do I evaluate and players for our USA team? And then I think third thing is really what makes up good coaches. And I think that'd be interesting for people to hear what we feel after myself going to many practices and having access to a lot of coaches in both high school and college level. What are some things I think that are really important in coaching?
Just one final question. I always say final question, then I have one more pops in my head. But
No
can you talk about the moment several years ago, you met Alan Bertram, and Team South Dakota was able to scrimmage against Team USA. For us, that's a great big deal. Can you maybe just describe how you guys met and how that happened?
Well, yeah, Alan was really a significant person for us, because we did a coaching academy in Sioux Falls at the Pentagon when Alan was working there, and he really was instrumental in helping us set up that academy and coaching academy. So we had a great relationship with each other at that point, and then from then on, just we kept in touch. And obviously Alan's a great basketball mind and does things really the right way. And so we like to hook up with people like Alan for some of the things that we do.
Well, Don, I appreciate your time today. I'm going to let you go. We all in South Dakota, the clinic is just about full right now, so people are anxiously awaiting. Can't wait to see you in November, sir.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.